Today's question is, how do I practice self-care from a spiritual perspective? It's interesting because I think any form of self-care benefits your spiritual practice. If you're taking good care of yourself, then you are in a state where your mind is more open to any of the insights that you might be pursuing. So, I mean, in a way, self-care from a spiritual perspective is really no different from just standard self-care. You just, when I'm extremely stressed and not following up on my good habits and incorporating those nasty lower self ones, I know that I'm not going to have my mind open to valuable spiritual insights a lot of the time. Because part of it is that I'll get wrapped up in myself. If I am suffering, then that's where my mind is going to go. It's my default setting when my body's all stressed out, literally my muscles are all clenched. It's like it's very, very hard for me to just have an open mind enough for any sort of important messages to creep in. And then I start getting really complainy and bitter in those kinds of states too, where I just want things to be better for myself. And that's a very counter-spiritual way to be when you're just thinking of how you want everything to just come better for you. I want my life to be easier, darn it. I want to be taking care of myself regularly. And I haven't been very good at that for the past month or so. It sort of comes in waves where I'll get that spark of motivation again when I realize what I'm doing to myself. But yeah, self-care. The standard one that's a self-care that's also a spiritual practice is meditation, which I've already talked about a lot. It calms you down. It calms you down. It slows down a busy mind, which allows for ideas to pop up out of nowhere because you're not actively using your mind for things every single second of the day if you have a little bit of mindfulness in there. There really is no difference between taking care of myself and effectively pursuing a spiritual practice. At least I don't think. Wouldn't that be interesting if the real key to making spiritual insights is just to do things so incredibly terribly? Would I take that? I don't know. Say I had to do a whole bunch of dangerous substances and quit my job and exile myself from my family and relationships. If that was a surefire guaranteed way to spiritual enlightenment, would I take it? I don't think so. But in some of my weird days, I don't know that I wouldn't take that. It's just self-care, man. There's just not enough time for it so much of the time. There's always time for a little bit, though. It's just that, man, when you work a full-time job giving 40 hours a week to something that is decidedly anti-self-care, oh my goodness. Just really, really hard. Ideally, I would like to be self-employed in something that also falls hand in hand with self-care. I think what I'm doing right now, making videos, is a fantastic form of self-care for me. Not that that's the point of it, I never want this to just become a therapy session, but the ability to just speak my mind for a while in a controlled environment where I don't have some immediate feedback upon me. That's really, really relieving. It has done wonders for my mental health, and to some degree, I worried when I shared with just a few people at the end of last year this channel for the first time. I worried that maybe I'd be jeopardizing the therapeutic value of this channel for me by showing it to more people. And I don't think that I have. But I'm happy it was just a few people and not like. I think that we all have dreams of being an overnight success and suddenly having like a million people interested in us. But I think that immediately you would just lose any sort of the self-care aspect of doing it, because you'll have all these million people and be worried about literally what every single one of them is thinking. I think slowly amassing an audience that eventually got to a pretty decent size is what would be best for me. And of course, you have no control over that. I might be sitting at my 50-something subscribers for the rest of my life, or I might overnight, get a number that really, really stresses me the heck out. I don't know. I don't know. All that I can tell you right now is that, like exercise or journaling or anything that requires a little bit of effort, but then always results in a positive feeling right after, this feels very much like a form of self-care. Because it's always hard to get myself to sit down and start talking. And then once it's out there, I am just as free as a little birdie. And Lynyrd Skynyrd is about to play a guitar solo.